Good evening. It's Sandra Shields, and I'm your practitioner for this evening, and this is our metaphysical lesson on Wednesday night. I'm so glad that you could all join me tonight to talk about positive thought, and it's really something I've been thinking about a lot lately. With all that's going on, there's just such an opportunity for despair, and I wanted to really address that with you tonight. I want to do this I'm going to read you a passage from the Science of Mind textbook by Ernest Holmes, and then I'm also going to share with you some ideas about how to keep positive thoughts, or to change negative thoughts into positive thoughts, that I found on Psychology Today, and I hope that this will be helpful to you. Yesterday, I was talking to one of my public health colleagues, and we were reflecting on the difficulty of this current pandemic and how to keep ourselves going for the long haul here, which is a very long, for us people who do disaster work, it's a very, very long disaster assignment that's going to go into the weeks and months and perhaps a year ahead. So we were talking about this, and I was emailing her, and I told her this: we must do what we can to salvage ourselves, not to succumb to fear, to rest, to take care of ourselves, and reset our mental perspective on the positive every day. And she told me that that whole idea that you could reset your mind onto the positive. She found it was extremely helpful and useful to her because she was trying to find the words for what she's trying to do every day, so that she can feel assured that her work is good and it's not a futile effort. So on that note, I went to the Science of Mind textbook first, and I went to a section on page 488 that Ernest Holmes wrote about other teachings from the New Testament. And really it addresses that negative thoughts of lack and limitation, particularly there's a lot of sense that things are futile right now, especially if people are not working, are not able to work. And so how does one find the next positive thought or a way to work with that situation that goes beyond limitation? So this is what Ernest Holmes has to say about that, and it's called How to Demonstrate Liberty, and it's on page 488. To demonstrate liberty, drop all negative thoughts from your mind. Do not dwell upon adversity, but think plenty into everything, for there is power in the word. Meditate on the things you are doing as being already done, complete and perfect. Try to sense the infinite life around and within you. This life is already fully expressed and complete. This life is your life now, and the life of all that you do, say, or think. Meditate upon this life until your whole being flows into it and becomes one with it. Now you are ready to prove your principle by allowing this life to flow through the things that you are working on or for. Do not will or try to compel things to happen. Things happen by an immutable law, and you do not have to energize the essence of being. It is already big and with power. All you need to do is realize this fact and then let it be done unto you or unto that for which you are working. Let, L-E-T, is a big word and an important one. By taking thought, you do not add 1 cubit to reality, but you let reality to manifest in the things that you are doing. As the power of your meditation is centered on what you are doing, life flows through that thing, animating it with the real power and action, which culminates in the desired results. The Spirit of God is loosened in your work. Where there is spirit, there is liberty. So I really enjoyed that passage and thought about it. You know, it applied to my work and the work that we're all doing during this pretty challenging time. So then, as I like to do, and if we were together, I would certainly be asking you for your ideas about what you're doing to work with negative thought and changing that into a positive thought, because we know in religious science that it's done unto us as we believe. So the more we can change those negative thoughts and grab on to a more positive reality, the more that manifests in our life. So it is an important skill. And so sometimes people feel a little bit stuck on how do you change the habit of negative thought for a more positive one, and even sometimes how you teach your children how to have positive thought. So I found this lovely guide on the internet from Psychology Today, and it's the Beginner's Guide to Changing Negative Thoughts. And it's really aimed at parents helping their children, but it's also something that all of us can benefit from. So this article says this. The best way to teach kids about how to reframe their cognitive distortions or negative thoughts is to teach children how to do blue thoughts, turn their blue thoughts into true thoughts. Now, a blue thought is an acronym for the following things: blaming yourself, looking for bad news, unhappy endings, and so how do you work with those blue thoughts, as this article is suggesting? And not blame yourself, look for bad news, unhappy guessing, that's the one I left out, and exaggerated negativity. How do you work on that? So this is what this author suggests on recognizing blue thoughts. Blaming yourself. While it's important to take responsibility for your part, excessive self-blame isn't productive. In fact, it's been linked to mental problems like depression. Be on the lookout for times when you tell yourself that you've ruined everything, or that it's all your fault. So looking for those blaming thoughts behind the negative things that are sometimes happening in your head. What's the blaming thought? So that's a first part of the blue thoughts. Looking for bad news. If 9 good things happen and 1 bad thing happens in a day, it's easy to focus on the one bad part. By dwelling on the negative, you will keep stuck in that dark place. It's important to step back and create a more balanced, realistic outlook. Same goes for always listening to bad news and not noticing sort of the good news that's happening around you. So what you focus on, that also creates your peace of mind, or lack thereof. Unhappy guessing. Even though you have no idea what will happen tomorrow, you might predict doom and gloom. Wherever you imagine that you're going to embarrass yourself in a meeting, or tell yourself that everything around you is terrible, it just leads to a downward spiral. The more negatively you think, the worse you'll feel, and the worse you feel, the less likely you will be able to take positive action. So, how to replace these blue thoughts? Once you identify a blue thought, the goal is to replace it with a true thought. We would certainly affirm that in religious science, a true thought, which we also call divine principle, the big truth behind everything. One of the best ways to do this is to ask yourself, what would I say to a friend who has this problem? So when you catch yourself thinking, I'll never have enough money for retirement, or whatever that negative thought is, you might respond by telling yourself, I can create a clear path for saving more money so I can afford to retire. So again, for every negative thought that comes up, you try to find the positive balance to it. One of the things Reverend Beverly has always talked about is using the word and instead of but. So a lot of times people argue and they think that they only have their one right way of looking at something. And so when you have 2 people who are talking about 2 different things that seem to be opposing each other, use the word and. So it can be, rather than thinking it's either this or this, you think it could be this and this. And when you hook those two thoughts together that apparently oppose each other, a third possibility that can be more integrated and consider everybody's viewpoint presents itself.